Our first guest is Angelo Sangiacomo, one of San Francisco's best-known apartment owners and developers. His mid-market project, Trinity Plaza, was finally, once and for all, approved by City Hall.
Amen.
What a project. I do not understand how so many people could have supported a project that had so many benefits that was delayed needlessly by, I don't know by what. I've heard a lot of rumors. Maybe you've heard rumors, but it's done.
It was a chore. The word I used was agony trying to get it up.
And it has, okay, for the people that don't know, it has the first new rent-controlled units, I think permanently rent-controlled units.
For life, yeah. The tenants, yeah. And not only that, but the tenants have a lifetime lease, but like you said, permanently controlled. We can't, they'll always be under the rent control ordinance.
There's no, I don't think there's another project in the country
that
has built new rent-controlled units.
It's correct. Not that I know of, Art.
So what drove you for this project is probably what's driven you throughout your life. What makes Angelo Sangiacomo have the tenacity to be demonized, and you know that, you're demonized, and yet people were saying very nice things about you in the end, especially some of your nemesis.
Well, in the first place, I was born here. My wife was born here. Her father was Bimbo. We've got our roots here. I have 7 children. They were all born here. And originally, it was a Del Webb townhouse, and I bought it to demolish it and to do apartment, to develop the site. And I did the first one about, I forget how long ago, and it was 1,800 units, and it was during the Dianne Feinstein era, and they turned that down.
How many years ago is that? 30 years ago.
We've been trying to develop the site for 30 years, but I actually trying to get it developed at least 20 years. That's a long, long time.
How do you do that then? How do you take it and put it on the shelf and just do a little bit on it every so often, or do you have to keep a steady pressure on it, or do sometimes you just want to forget it and just drop the whole project?
No, the first project, I remember Dean Macris telling me, he says, you're not going to get it through. He says, just forget it. You just better wait for due administration. And I just chalked it. And then about 5 years ago, or a little longer, I said, why not? Why not try again? Dean Macris happened to be back in again. Not that he helped that much, but I mean, he's a great guy. He helped us. And we worked together with the city planners. Our first meeting was with Dean Macris, with the architect. What do you want us to build here? And the first go-around, we had 1,400 units. And then Dean Macris wanted a high-density area there because of the beginning of the mid-market plan. And so he fell in love with the architect, who was great, architect Tonica Bernardo. And he came up with this new high-density project, which the city planners really, really liked. And then we went from there.
Okay, let's talk about Daley, Chris Daley, Supervisor Daley. I personally think he's still a deal maker in the old sense of the word. You may not like all his politics, but there's very few deal makers left in San Francisco like Willie Brown.
Yeah, he did a real good job. He worked hard to get what he wanted here.
And he gave. I mean, both sides have to think that they didn't get everything they wanted.
Oh no, that's very true. And no, I have no extra ground at all against it. As a matter of fact, right now that we're trying to get our building permit, he's been really helpful because we want to get it up as quickly as possible without going through all the bureaucracy and oh gosh, and so
run them through all at the same time through the departments.
Yeah, and he's really helping us. He's really helping us. So I've got to thank him for this.
So when did you begin when you became a developer? Is it something that just rose from you? You just saw something, you saw a piece of land, you started. I mean, how did it happen?
I think it's genetic. My dad was a builder, my grandfather, and I think it's just plain genetic. I was in real estate after I graduated from USF, and I had these 2 lots on 6th Avenue, one at 6th and Clement, one at 6th and Fulton, and I started in. It's like, Oh, you smell the pine after it rains and the
Right.
concrete.
Concrete when it's wet, yeah, and it's drying.
And it just gets to you.
And it still gets to you?
Oh God, I'm like a little kid starting over again. Yeah, it's a thrill. I mean, where else can you do what I can't give birth to babies. To create something from nothing, you see a lot. You have a vision as to it, and I'm great for. Give me any lot, and nobody can do a better job than I can on density-wise and everything.
Figuring out what would work there.
Yeah.
But you also, almost all of your buildings have great design factor. Even your office building on Bay Street, an apartment building next to me on Russian Hill. That, for me, the key of a great design is that when you go by it, even weeks and years later, it still does something to you. And the building on Trinity, on Bay Street, even though it's got a new addition next door, I liked the way it was. The other one's towering over it a bit, but that is such a great design. Just is that your signature there, or did you just bring people on? Do you let others architects do that work for you? Do you have a concept of that as well?
Yeah, I have to approve it. I have to like it. But the thing that I take full course is the actual design of the unit itself. I was
the interior.
The Bernardo, who owns Arquitectonica, I'm the only builder that's ever told him exactly what to do. I knew exactly the type of unit to go in that area down there.
And you're talking about the interior.
Yeah, the design of the interior, the studio,
this
floor plan, the studio. We have a 450 square foot unit. We got a 17-foot walk-in closet. We have an alcove area where you can sleep or you can do your computer work. It's just what the city needs, something like that.
And that's what you have a natural.
That was you give me an area. In some areas in the city, I've done 2-bedroom and 2-bath units. And another thing I do, I make the same type of a unit. You get the same type of tenancy. I don't believe in putting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with the studio. The secretary does not want to live with the boss, vice versa.
Right.
So this is, and every area in San Francisco is different.
What do you think about the fact that you became the poster child in San Francisco for the landlord? Did you know that was going to happen?
No way.
Did you think that it would ever get to the point where, for many people watching tonight, this is the first time they've seen the human being, Angelo Sangiacomo. The phrase itself, causes people to shudder in certain communities. Did you anticipate that would happen? And do you think it's been fair? Do you feel that you deserved some of it, or do you feel like you were they improperly tagged some of the things you did in the past?
Well, no, I mean, I should be thankful. I mean, I started with a little studio before I even had a car, just a little studio bungalow in the rear of a lot. And no, I love the city, and city's been great to me. Our kids are all, like I said, they're all born here, and we've got our roots here, and it's part of it. You have to just take it. It's just
almost all developers are demonized in this city.
Yeah, and I'm not really a developer. I'm an owner builder. I was born here, and everything I've built, I've kept. Yeah. And I've worked with some of the best architects. Escherick, I started with Escherick, and Bob Aragoni, and Treffinger, and some great Architectonica. I've always tried to get the best architects.
How much of what you did is the result of your family being from Genoa, and what that means in Italy to be Genovese?
Well, I can go on all day on this. No, it's a culture. I was brought up in an Italian family. My dad and mom were from Italy, and I spoke Genovese. I flunked kindergarten. My mother used to make me frittata with French bread, and I'd go to school, and I'd come home. I said, Mama, make me an American sandwich. Give me peanut butter jelly or ham with white bread. But I was always proud of my dad. They instilled in me, we spoke Italian. We were proud of being Italian because of the Genovese heritage, the first bank. I was, kind of brainwashed about the Genoveses. And we have a culture that's all our own. We're thrifty, we're loyal, we're family people. Italy is, and I took my my mother took me there when I was just a young 14 years old because her father was up in years and she wanted to see him before he passed away. And I spent 6 months over there and I just fell in love with Italy. So when I got married, I had 7 children. I asked, my mother told me to fix the house up because it was falling down. And so I packed up all 7 kids. Thank God I had an Italian wife. And now all my kids speak Italian. I built a home for all of them over there.
In Genoa.
Yeah,
in Italy.
And I just have a love affair with Italy, and the reason too is they love Americans. It's the only place that when I travel that they love our habits.
Are you considered a hero back in the family?
Yeah, they call me Il Capo Grande.
El Capo Grande. Do they know about your success here, or can they envision it?
One of our, believe it or not, one of our qualities, Genovese quality, is we don't brag. We're very, 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 we don't like. I don't like publicity, good or bad.
You rarely do interviews.
My first interview because you're Genovese.
That's
otherwise
right.
I
was
would be here.
That's true. I am half Genovese, and I understand what you mean.
And I couldn't say no to you.
Thank you. And even A.P. Giannini, the head of Bank of America, was Genovese.
That's right, and I got my start originally with them, and I mean at the time I'd go down there and they would speak Genovese, and I had literally a license to steal. The loyalty was there, and they took care of me, and it was just fabulous.
It's interesting. People don't realize that Italy was really little small nation states, whether it was Venice or Genoa.
They have their own,
countries. Yeah. And that goes on. Now, do you see that in your children?
My children, yeah. My children are half Toscano, half from Tuscany, the wife, and half Genovese. And maybe it's a perfect blend because the Toscanis are a lot different than we are. They're more outspoken. They like partying and they enjoy life, I guess, more. We're workers. We like to work.
Tuscany, Florence, that Po Valley.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of flash in Florence.
And like I said, when I first took my wife, when I brought my wife home I was afraid to take her home to introduce her to my parents because she wasn't Genovese. That's how brainwashed I was.
And that's how important it is in Italy.
You marry your own kind. Yeah, you seem to get along better. There's an old Italian proverb, moglie buoi di paesi tuoi. You marry,
Do you think, though, that the tradition is passed along one way or another to your offspring, at least, whether it's genetically or whatever? Do you see that, or does it then wind itself out?
I think so, Art. I think because my kids only one married an Italian. My daughter married a fellow from Florence, and I think I love him more than she does. He's great, but no, they don't.
The character part does work itself out then, unless it's really instilled. Huh?
That's right.
Angelo Sangiacomo, thank you for doing one of your rare interviews.
It's been a pleasure, Art. Only for a fellow Genovese.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.